Feels like it's been so long since we last spoke. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're healthy. Hope your friends, hope your family's healthy. That everything is going well, career wise, personal life wise. Hope everything's going great. Good morning. Welcome back to the show. I don't know why it feels like such a long time this time around. I guess maybe because it's been kind of a longer month for me personally. Um, but it just feels like it's been like months or like a decade almost since like we last spoke. Um, but hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking with Byron Mason II. We get into a recent project we worked on together, a short horror film called Dollface. His USC thesis film Price, having been accepted to the Micho Film Festival, and his thoughts and experiences in using AI in filmmaking, among a bunch of other things we get into. Um, it's kind of a healthy episode with a lot of different topics this time around. But yeah, let me not ramble about what it's about, and let's just get into the episode.
My guy, it's a grind out here, man. We trying to make it happen, but most recently there's been a few things that I've been working on. One is a feature. We're in the final stretch of Dollface, which is a horror film that you and I shot together, which was really fun, by the
Yes,
way.
sir.
That was a really good time. It was like that was a 2 day shoot, right? That was
Yeah,
really quick.
yeah.
Uh, so our producer, shout out to Jeff. Um, man, I was working on this edit, so we finished shooting maybe mid to early December, and man, the edit was just like, ugh, it was just gross. I was like, this is ass. This is terrible.
What
Like,
do you mean gross? What does that mean? I
it
mean,
just, it
yeah.
just, it was not giving what it was supposed to give. And
Mhm.
mind you, like you've seen that thing about the creative process, right? Like you think
Yeah.
it's dope, and then like as you go through it, it's like, yo, this is the worst ever.
Yeah.
It's terrible, and then you're like, oh, like this is actually really good. Like I'm glad I did this. That the period of like, oh, this is a piece of just stretched on like way longer than usual for like creative projects that I work on. It was like this is never gonna get there. Um, and honestly, I was pretty stretched then too with um, just like trying to actually survive, but then like doing creative things.
Yeah.
So circling back,
Yeah.
Jeff, one of the producers, our other producer is Savannah, who's also freaking amazing. I
Shout
love that
out.
girl. She gets things done. So brought the edit that I'd done to Jeff, and I'm like, man, like this is I think this is the best that it can be. But Jeff, the legend he is, man, he really like went back into the footage. Like we went back into it together, and he was like, bro, like, do you put this? Like there was I didn't like the opening at first. The opening was super flat, and I know like for the viewers, they're like, "What is this guy talking about?" We have no context for this. I'm sorry, y'all. Just stick with
You
me.
won't know until it's public, probably.
You won't know until it's public. Sorry.
I'm not. I'm respecting the creative process. I haven't talked to
Yes.
anybody about it and all that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. I think it's fine to talk to people about it. It's just like they can't see any footage because it's like there's no grade and the sound is temp. But at least like the cut that we have now, like this should be a picture lock cut. We're waiting to hear back from the rest of the team,
Yeah.
um, their thoughts. But all that to say, like I didn't like the opening, and Jeff like went back into the like footage that I didn't use, and he was
Mhm.
like, "Why put this in the trash bin?" Because the way I organize my footage, it's like good, like let's use this, um, miscellaneous as like it could be used if like I don't, um, if I like I have nothing else, and then trash, which is just like it was like we had to cut the take short, or it was just like not what I wanted, and I put like a super dope take in trash, and he was like, why did you put this in here? I was like, no, and it made the opening so much better. But those are the two main things, man. I think as a writer and a filmmaker, it's tough because you always have to be like working on something to direct, but then you also have to be writing. So
Yeah.
uh, it's a lot to do. But I find that, and as long as you have like 2 to 3 projects that are kind of a mixed bag, like whether you're writing something or you're like editing something or you're prepping something, it's like you're making progress, in
Yeah,
what you.
I kind
So
of
those are the
agree. I,
yeah.
I
Go
I
ahead.
feel like whenever I'm in the mix of like a few projects, like I always tend to feel better about, just like that constant momentum of just like working on something, whether it's like I'm in pre-production for this commercial and I'm sending like like floor plans to my gaffer, or I'm in the
Mm.
early stages of like a short film, whether it's with you or with someone else. Like I like having multiple stages. I'm kind of the same. I like multiple stages of dialogue and just like being in the, I hate to say like in the machine of filmmaking, but that's like the best sort of way that I can put it. I want to go back to Dollface for a second. So you kind of
Yes.
mentioned that like you were feeling about it throughout most of production, unfortunately. and
No,
and
not production. Production was great.
okay,
Like
cool.
we shot like the 2 days that we shot, so much fun. We did have to pivot for well, should I just give context because I feel bad
Yeah,
for
you
viewers.
can, you
Like,
can.
bro. So okay, so
It's your
so
project. You can talk however you
I'm
like. Yeah,
it's our
it's
project though.
our
Thank you very
project.
much.
Yeah.
Um, so for the viewers, y'all, myself and a few other dope creatives, man, we were interning over at Blumhouse during the fall. I told like the coordinators like, hey, like we should like shoot a film, and they were like, go for it, do it. And so the development interns, like we all like wrote it together. Though eventually I had to like just take over the script because everybody was kind of split doing other things. And we shot the short like 2 days in December. So that is the context. That is the project
Mm-hmm.
that we're working on. And I had seen Alex's stuff. We had met. Alex and I had met at a mixer, which was
Mixer is such a PG way to put it.
it was a function. Well, it was like
It was a
it was
function.
it was a
It was
function.
a
And
function for sure.
bro, I remember that you were editing like a commercial or something while you were there. I was like,
No, I was putting together assets for like my website because a commercial that I had shot had gone live,
yes,
and I felt
yes.
like I remember like I was talking to Justin afterwards. I was like I felt like such a tool, just
No,
being
bro, I
like,
respect that. That was dedication. I think if anybody looked like, oh, this guy, like, no, bro, like that was dedication. You were like, this thing is happening, and I'm here, but I need to get my shit done. I
I was
respected
just
that.
like
I
screenshotting like some files, and I was like screen recording like the ProRes master file that I had gotten, and it's just like, all right, I got to create assets for like Instagram and then my website. It's all got to go up at the same time, and like I ended up having to upload like to YouTube or something at some point just to put it on my website. But yeah, so we met there. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
saying.
No. And I saw like the footage that you showed me. It was like this dude is dope, and I was like, I'd love to work with him, but I didn't have like any project like at the time that I was working on, and so when we were kind of developing the project, bro, you were the first person
Yeah,
that I thought of. Like there were some of my other like contemporaries, folks that I had worked with before, who but that like I don't know. I just thought with your style and the way you grade stuff, I was like, yeah, this guy would get the story, and you did.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
and so, but all that to say, production went really well. I think the only hiccup we had was that we had a scene where a character is supposed to get their arm ripped off, and and our like props slash yeah, I guess they're like props. Shout out to Jel, she's super dope. She made this like DIY rig where when the arm gets ripped off, there's a siphon that like spurts blood. And I think we were already, I don't want to say we were super behind time because usually I like to keep it crisp, but just with the setup of the rig, and then like I saw a few tests of it, and I was like, man, I remember I took you, Savannah, and Jeff outside, and we were like, yo.
What do we do? I
I
remember.
was
Yeah,
like, we gotta pivot. Like, if we like really try to do this, one, I don't think it's gonna be as great as it could have been, and two,
yeah.
like we're running low on time.
Yeah.
So, but like I already kind of had like a revised edit in my head. I was like, we'll just see like the start of the rip, and then we'll cut to like after the rip, which like so many films have done that. I remember I pulled up a video of it to show y'all. You know when the little boy got his arm ripped off.
Yeah, it
I was
just
like,
like completely cuts to just like he doesn't have an arm anymore.
like they saw it getting bit, and then they saw him like dragging himself on the street. Like we can totally do that, y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but besides that, man, it was really great. Like we shot in a really dope location, pretty small crew. Everybody got along. We made our day.
We
Um,
did make our day, which was
we
great.
did
We were
make
on
our day,
time.
bro. We did make our day. I have a really good track record, bro. I think there's only been one shoot. Um, where I did make the day, and low key it wasn't even my fault. Well, it's always the director's fault, bro. It's actually that was 100% my fault.
Oh my god, man.
But other than that, I'm damn near like 20 to 1, bro. We make our day.
20 to 1. That's incredible. That's a great track record. But okay,
It's
yeah.
also like short film, though. Like we not, I haven't been like contracted by Warner Bros. Yet to like do
Yeah.
shit.
You'll do it for sure. They gave
Yeah.
Bong Joon Ho a pretty crazy check for Mickey,
Bro,
so
did you
I'm,
see Mickey?
I have, yeah. I
What
thought
did
it
you
was.
think?
I Letterboxd got a 4.5.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty strong, and for just like a director, like having done like independent films for so long, and then having the chance to get like this big ass check from a company like Warner
He
Brothers, so
could.
just like here, do whatever.
He
Like,
could.
dude,
He
hell
could.
yeah, he did a
Bro,
great
and you
job with it.
have you have Rob Pat doing a voice? Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like that's the standard, bro. If Robert Pattinson is doing a voice in your movie, it's probably gonna slap. Like
yeah.
that's kind of it.
Yeah, I
But
thought I thought actually
yeah.
I thought Mark Ruffalo's character was pretty interesting. Like,
I love that.
I'm forgetting the name off of the top, his character name off the top of my head, but it's very like I don't know, like I want to say like Trump esque, but
Yeah,
like where it's
100%.
like his
100%.
cadence and like he has like a certain level of arrogance, which is really funny because like Mark Ruffalo doesn't strike me as that kind of person, and for him to just like completely be like a 180 of what he normally identifies as, he did kind of a similar thing in like Poor Things.
Mhm.
So for me, it was
Which
kind of
was
interesting to
hilarious.
be like, oh, like he kind of did the same thing, but yeah. Sorry, back to Dollface.
No, 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 bro. You're
Yeah,
good. You're
what
good.
was because you
No.
mentioned like you weren't feeling great about it. Like production was smooth, fortunately, and it seemed like post was kind of you kind of
Post
felt that
was
way.
Yeah, it's just I think it's also too, man. It's I think people don't talk enough about like burnout, dude. Like I talk to so many creatives who are functioning on a very high level, and maybe that's the reason why. Like I just kind of ask them about like how do they manage burnout and all that, and it's just from what I've heard, it's just they kind of like power through it. Um, which I'm like, how do y'all do that? Are you just drinking like coffee? Are you like some Celsius? Like, do you have like a secret superpower or some shit that I don't know about? But I think that was it, man. Like that stretch, like those past couple months was super taxing, like physically and mentally, like outside of work, outside of creative things,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just like I'm looking at this edit and I'm like, man, ugh. I just wasn't feeling great about it, but like I think everything changed where I was like, dude, you obviously have this dope team. And I remember even like we were talking about the grade because I needed to transcode all the footage to send you, and you were just like, I'll grade everything in that way. I'll make a LUT, and you can just put it
Mm-hmm.
on the project. Like even that, man, I was like, like I was supposed to send these assets to Alex like 2 days ago. I'm like, but I just wasn't feeling great about it. But I think like when I actually asked for help, like I asked Savannah and Jeff, like y'all, this shit is
Where
not
do I
giving what
go
it's
with
supposed.
it? Yeah,
Um, like dude, they're like yeah, like let's look at the footage together. Like let's break it down. So I think at the end of the day, man, it's like yeah, when you're not feeling something or you're feeling like kind of stretched out, like burned out, just ask for help. My goodness,
yeah, yeah. So
nobody thinks less of you. It's just
yeah,
like a matter of fact, people are like excited to. They're like, bro, why didn't you call me sooner? Like, you should have been pulled up, and we could have.
yeah. I wish you would have let me know, dude. I mean, I was just the main reason I was suggesting the LUT was just for the sake of like efficiency. and
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned like that first week of January you were going to be in Chicago, so I was
Yeah, I
like,
was traveling. I was going back and forth.
yeah, so I was like, let me just like grade this, try and package it really well, and then like send it over, just for the sake of like simplicity. You know what I mean?
No,
Um,
but I wanted to be respectful of your time, bro, because I know that I remember you telling me you were gearing up for some other projects, and I'm like, I'm
yeah.
not about to like keep this man hostage on this project, especially when you probably have some things that are like paying more, you know,
I
like
mean, I don't know. I
paying
mean,
actually paying because you did this pro bono.
yeah, I did do a pro bono, but like, it's like I don't know. I was like passionate about it. I wanted to jump on because it's
Yeah,
like a friend
yeah,
of Justin's is a friend of mine, you know. So, and I
appreciate
saw the
it.
script and I was like, shout out
Shout out
Justin.
Justin, by the way.
He's been
That's
mentioned
the
in
guy.
like the past like two podcasts now.
He's
He's,
good people.
I appreciate that you were like transparent about the fact that like, hey, I'm dealing with some like even if you don't have to, you're not. I'm not entitled to that information. Like
Hmm.
at the most, like if you disclose, hey, I'm dealing with some like, cool, totally respect that. That's all
Hmm.
I personally would ever want to know. Because at least in regards to like my team, as far as like camera, G&E, you know, like I try to um not know what's going on. Like I'm not trying to be like chismoso or nothing, but like I I try to like have a general baseline of like what are these people like. Maybe if they're dealing with something, maybe not specifics, but if they're dealing with something, then it definitely gives me context for like, hey, like, you know, they are kind of not that they're slow, but like that they're kind of like not operating in the way that I am kind of expecting them to.
Yeah,
Um,
instead of just off, like it's like there's actually a reason.
Yeah, like it kind of gives me an opportunity to give them grace or like, hey, like you're cool to step aside or whatever. Like, you know, that's like important. At least understanding like for me at least like understanding like my key team, like my camera assistants, like my operator. You know, if I have an operator, you know, my G&E team. You know, my guys. I try to really understand what it is that's like going on. You know, especially like if it is burnout. Like, you know, it's important to be honest about that and like know that like, hey, if they're in the thick of it, you know, I try to be both on the above the line side and on the below the line side. Like I try to be like a confidant for a lot of these people because I'm kind of that gap between, you know, the directors and above, and for the director, I'm the
Right.
gap between you know production, like all the camera assistant operators, etc. So I try to
Right.
understand like, you know, what it is that people have going on, and it gives context to certain thought processes too. Because even they're just thinking like, because I've noticed at least when it comes to burnout, I've noticed it with myself. I'm also just kind of coming out of that.
There's no way you experience burnout, dude. You're a machine. Like every
I'm
time I talk to you, it's like
I'm
I'm
coming
doing
out
it
of
like a
it.
thousand
I'm
times.
coming out of it right now. To be honest with you, I think it's just like sitting in it too long. Like it's like a hamster on a hamster wheel. Like the hamster wheel just gets ahead of you sometimes. Like that. I'm
Yeah.
serious. Like that. Like
No,
that's just
no,
like
bro. I 100% because it's
yeah.
like you have so many ideas. There's so many things you want to do, and then it's like I don't have the capacity right now to do everything.
Yeah, like I get it. I get ahead of my own like ambition sometimes, and I'm just like, even like last week, I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Like,
Yep.
you know, like
Yep.
now I have this studio space, so that takes up like more energy now. Just like maintaining it, and you know, just like
Bring
make sure
clients in.
the clients, and then like all my equipment is here. So then I do all my rentals out here. And then I take meetings out here, so it's just like a lot of different things that are happening in one space. I'm like, I gotta do this, ugh. And then like I'm in the middle of like prepping a thing, and I'm like, wait, there's another rental that I need to pick up for another shoot, and then da da da. Like it all just like climbs up on top
Hmm.
of itself. Mind you, this happened like last week. like, like
Bro
every
was trying not to crash out last
shit.
week.
Just I almost did. I got very very close. I was just like, what am I doing? I what I did to kind of relieve myself though was like, I went to go see Black Bag because that was like in theaters, and I found a theater that like
How was that? I've heard like people talking
it's
about it. I
pretty
haven't seen it.
fun. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a spy movie,
Yeah.
but it's with Michael Fassbender instead of like a James Bond type.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. I
Michael
actually really liked
Fassbender
it.
could be a James Bond type, bro, if
A
he
hundred
wanted.
percent. I don't think he does though, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they're eyeing him at all. But anyways, yeah, I was just like, I gotta just go do something, turn brain off,
Mhm.
and just watch
Mhm.
something. So I watched Black Bag for 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, okay. I took a stroll like outside because I kind of parked like in a separate parking lot from the
Yeah.
theater. I went to the Nicole Kidman theater, the AMC in Porter Ranch.
The movies.
The
No.
movies. That intro. Uh,
Bro, I cheer every time it comes on. I feel
thank
like such a
you.
tool, but I'm like, woo! It's like you just gotta do it at that point,
If
bro.
that's
Like
your
it's not
vice,
going away.
if
It's not going
no, it's
away. It's
not. They keep remodel. They keep redoing the intro. But I went to that theater, and I went to see Black Bag, and I kind of walked because I parked like a ways from it, and it was funny just in that like little stroll. It was like really fresh outside, and that gave me like a chance to be like, oh, everything's fine. My life is not
mm,
falling apart. I just needed a
yeah.
break from it,
You just
and
got a lot going on,
you
bro.
just got a lot going on. And sometimes like it's kind of interesting to see what people kind of use as like a break for burnout. So I'm wondering like during that period. Maybe you don't have to get specific if you don't
Mhm.
want to disclose that. But I'm wondering what you kind of do or what you have done to kind of alleviate symptoms of burnout for yourself.
Bro, it's honestly something that I'm still like working on and figuring out because I can't put it down for like ever. Even though it like I realistically I should put it down for like a day, like a couple days. It's like I'll put it down for like a few hours, and it's like, oh, like I got away from it. Let me come back to it, and I don't think that's like efficient or helpful. You really do gotta just kind of really put it away for maybe a week or a little bit more, and then come back to it because then you have a fresh perspective on it. Going to the movies is super helpful, dude. I went to see Opus on Sunday.
Oh, what do you
Uh,
think of that? I haven't seen that.
I gave it 5 stars on Letterbox. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna hold you. I'm not even gonna hold you. That and like
Mm,
I feel like people don't talk about the film enough. That was so fire. I can't even like so much happened like in the first couple minutes, and then the like the title credits came up, and I was like, what? Like that was just the beginning. Like
yeah.
what do you, man, I was in it, but the,
Mm-hmm.
the director knew exactly what he was doing. Like I knew I was in good hands the entire time. I Berry killed it. It was a really bro. I left the theater watching Opus inspired. Oh my goodness, bro. It was a really great film. Like
Yeah.
yeah, wow, like that. And I'm just gonna go off a tangent off of Burnout to just things that I really that I've been watching. That and
Go
have you
ahead.
seen Common Side Effects?
Common side effects? No.
It's an animation. It's an animated series on Adult Swim. It's on Max. Um, it's about this dude who discovers this mushroom that can cure anything,
Oh
and
well.
so the government and big pharma comes after him. I'm gonna close my burnout piece just so I can come back to this. At the end of the day, for burnout, you need to get away from this shit, like live your life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like watch a movie, take a walk in a park, and I'm gonna tie Opus and Common Side Effects in a very nice, neat bow after I
Mm-hmm.
get done with it.
Yeah.
The thing that really interests me about those two things is that, man, just filmmaking, if it feels like to me it's all about like contrast and duality. And I'm not I feel like this is something I'm sure a lot of creatives like know and understand. But it's just something that I'm always trying to hone in on.
Mm-hmm.
So for Common Side Effects, the animation style, like the way the characters are drawn, you would think that it's like a comedy. And I mean, it does have like comedic moments, but the way the characters are drawn, they look kind of goofy looking. But dude, the story is actually like very serious and like heartfelt and also kind of violent. And so when you have like the juxtaposition of like this kind of goofy, like humorous overtone, with like very real world elements, it just makes like for such a natural and like honest piece. And the same for Opus, man. Like it's a thriller horror that one like blends a lot of different horror subgenres, but it also doesn't take itself too serious, right? And it's saying something poignant about like identity and the world at large. It's just like I feel like the director of Opus and just the creators of Common Side Effects, they get that, and that's I don't know, man. I think good filmmaking, that's all you really need. You just need contrast. You need two things that don't inherently live in the same space, but the context in which you build the world around it, like that makes it work. I don't know if that was word vomit or like I'm cooking, but that's what's been on my heart lately,
Yeah,
bro.
no, it makes sense. Did you sort of apply that sentiment to Dollface?
Yes, I did, and thank you for bringing us back to the topic.
Yeah,
That was the original topic that we were talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
100%, man. I think the minute that I leaned into the fact that like Dollface wasn't like a horror, is really more like a horror comedy. Um, I feel like after passing the edit off, like that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is like this makes sense, right? Like it once it's like we not really taking ourselves too serious, but it's not like we're really trying to hone in on the comedy. It's just kind of naturally there because the idea is absurd. Yeah, it worked, man. But it's something that I still need to kind of like exercise and work out and flesh out. Um, I do think for the feature that I've been writing, 100% nailed it there. But of course, there's like work to be done on that. But yeah, man, it's all about contrast and just creating duality between like a genre or a character or a moment or something. Um, yes,
yeah.
100.
Okay, great. That's really interesting. So this feature, I won't ask you too much about it because I'm
Yes.
assuming it's like pretty early stages of development. Um, when approaching a short film, is the intention to sort of flesh it out and turn it into a feature, or is this something that is completely separate? Like it's not attached to like Dollface, for example. Like, is this a completely separate idea? Is this
Oh yeah, completely
yeah, yeah,
separate idea. But the thing about it is like yeah, like I'm sure you've usually heard that that what's usually said is like you make a short, and if it has an idea that can be expanded upon or like you have a feature already ready, there's a chance that you can kind of make that next step. I do feel like Dollface has that potential. Whether like we want to go in that direction or not, who knows? But yeah, man, I think really like a good short should just be like it's kind of like your calling card rather than it's like I made this short and people like it and now we make it into a feature. It's like the short ideally is your calling card to kind of get you into the room, and so other so that people who can make things happen for you or connect you to people who can make things happen to you. Um, are like, oh, like what else do you have, or like what do you think of this? Like, would you want to pitch something on this? So I think that that's really what the nature of the short is, and it also kind of takes pressure off. Like I don't feel like Dollface needs to like it certainly could become like something bigger, but what I have on my slate, it's like do I want to prioritize the feature right now, especially since we still got to like develop our whole festival circuit strategy. Um, yeah, I completely lost like
No, you're
what.
you're totally fine. So that's kind of interesting that you kind of view shorts as like kind of a separate, just like this is its own thing. This is its own story. It doesn't need to be more unless I really feel like it should be more. I
Hmm.
really like that because I feel like most people that I talk to, it's like they're working on a short with the intention of turning it into a feature, and that's anybody
That's
in.
super valid too. That's
Yeah,
super valid too. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that as like necessarily as like
mhm,
a bad thing, but I think it's
mhm,
it's it's I because I feel the same way about shorts. I feel like shorts can be. I've seen some like really incredible shorts like through like Proof Film Festival and like a bunch of other festivals that I've been to in like the last year. I've seen some really great short films where I'm like, this would be great just like as is. Like and not that I don't want more out of it. Like obviously like if there's an intention for a feature and that ends up being developed and stuff, I want to see that. But I
yeah,
love that there are people who are just like this is the short, that's it. Like this is the a little viewing it as like a little story kind of. It's like, oh, let me just say this really quick. And like what you're
yeah,
saying about like having some like proof of concept is like the wrong word, but like having showcased that you have exercise in a narrative space is like pretty great. And that's also like why I tend to take short films because it,
mhm.
it leads me to like other feature projects. Like, and I appreciate that you're kind of doing the same thing because it's like, I'm glad that, you're not diluting the idea of the short for the sake of being like, oh, we'll save it for the future. Oh, we'll save it for the future. Like whatever. Like no, this is its
No,
own
like
thing.
make it.
It has its
Yeah.
own identity. Let's bring this to fruition and let's go through the whole festival route and all that stuff at the short film level. That's really cool that you're doing that. Speaking of short film, I don't know if this is a short or a feature, but I'm gonna bring it up as if it is a short film.
Please do.
Your thesis, your thesis film at
Preacher.
USC,
Yeah.
Price. Is that a short? Is that a feature? What was kind of your thought process going into that production? Because I understand it's like, I assume
Yeah.
it's a big part of your grade. I don't know. I didn't go to film school, but like, what was that?
Bro.
Walk me through that process of shooting that thesis project.
Of course. So at USC there's a class. It's called 546, and and what happens is that writers write scripts. They're like 10 to 12 page scripts, and then directors like submit their reels, right? Like you can't write and direct your own 546. So apparently in the past that was a thing, but it's like you can't give somebody that much power, like in school. Like it's just no,
Yeah.
it's just like, um, so yeah, so writers submit their scripts, directors submit their reels. There's a list of scripts that are shortlisted, and then there's a list of directors that are shortlisted. Um, the directors then like peruse the scripts, find a script that they want, and then pitch that at a later day. Um, and what I did was I had a homie who's a writer and a director, but I was like, bro, like let's do something together. And so he wrote a script. We worked on it together, and he was like, bro, like I don't know if this is gonna get shortlisted. And I'm like, this is going to get shortlisted, bro. Script got shortlisted. As a The script got shortlisted, and then I was shortlisted as a director. Um, Made a pitch deck. I pitched to a committee of like professors and my peers, and I was one of three directors that was chosen to take the class as a director, make the
Wow.
film, and then go through.
Yeah.
Um, so really fun experience, bro. I built a great team of people like my producers, like everybody that I worked with, from like producers to editors to production design, like still very cool with to this day. Great collaborative experience. With, like every production has its like share of bumps and
Yeah.
miscues.
Of course.
Um, but no, and so the project itself, it's about this actor who goes insane while he's trying to break out into this to break out into a role. But there's kind of a underlying like storyline beneath it where the actor's African American. He's trying to impress this director who's older and white, and ultimately is kind of about how stories that are native to people of color and their experiences don't always translate because of like a predominantly white audience or authority figure who doesn't quite understand it. It is kind of sensitive, um, and but man, I really had a lot of fun making it, and I feel like that kind of idea came through into the final film. Now for the festival circuit, we premiered at the Michaud Film Festival, which was great. But beyond that, man, we didn't really get a lot of traction on the festival circuit. We still have some festivals to submit to, and that's super humbling. But I think it's important to. And I was just talking to my producer on Price about it the other day, and we were just both like, yeah, like it's a great film. Like it not getting traction at this point isn't like a reflection on us as filmmakers or our ability to tell a story. It's just like, man, a lot of this stuff, man, that I've learned is really about timing, dude. So much of this is about timing and like what is the thing that's topical and also palatable that comes into the zeitgeist and makes people wanna engage in it. So it's been a very humbling but learning experience, and it's like like even after all that, it's like, man, we made a dope film. I shouldn't be talking about it like this. I should be talking to you in the audience like, yo, this is the best ever.
Yeah.
Go watch this film, though it's not released anywhere. Uh,
Watch it in your imagination, you know?
it is the most fire film ever, bro. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it is the dopest that I've made to date, and we'll see when we finish Dollface
If that
if that
supersedes
it,
it or what.
I, I, I don't know, man. I think, man, I kind of said F it and was trying to make something that was just honest to me and to the writer, and I think we did that. Now making a film like that, that's like pretty, kind of touchy and
Hmm.
topical. It's also a horror movie, y'all. Like somebody gets chopped up at the end of the movie. It's like
Spoiler, what the hell?
eh, well, it's like doesn't happen, does it not happen. Um, all that to say that, like making it through university like USC, there's all kind of like things that you have to. It's very much like they try and model the class after, how you would actually make a film like at a
Hmm.
big studio. So that means that you're getting notes from a lot of people who have influence and potential power over the project. It's not like if I said no to a professor, they're like, we're not gonna make your movie. Like that's not how it is. But it is like balancing creative input from all these other different things, and still making sure that your ideal vision comes through. Great experience overall, man. I feel like I learned so much and grew so much as a filmmaker, and yeah, just on to the next one.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the other thing I want to talk about being a director is that, dude, you got to live with these films for like a very long time. And I think that's the only thing I kind of envy about like cinematographers and like editors or production designers. It's like you come on a project, you give your all to it, and then you can like drop it and like move on um, to the next. Where it's like for me, it's like I'm still working with Price after Dollface is finished. I'm still going to be working with that. Um, all the scripts that I'm writing and eventually want to direct, like I'm going to be living with these things for years, and it really just puts puts things into perspective of like how this life as a filmmaker in the entertainment industry goes, which I'm sure people well beyond our years have kind of already understood.
Yeah, for Micho Film Festival, is that how you pronounce it? Micho,
Michelle,
Micho.
but
That's
yeah,
still,
based on Oscar Michelle.
yeah, Micho. That's still a pretty big festival. I was there last year. I was there for like the second day, like half of the second day. I ended up having to be somewhere else. I had like a tech scout or something, but I ended up popping in the second day, and dude, that's a pretty solid festival to get into,
Yeah, no, no,
especially like
no.
a thesis film as well. Like that like technically it being like your first run at like a
Mhm.
proper short film, like that's huge, and definitely criticism is a big um thing to understand very early on, at least for me. Like I think getting very comfortable with people just being like, hey, this is
No.
ass, like
Well,
like
that's the
you
thing.
know.
It's like it's not. It's really tough because sometimes the verbiage doesn't necessarily reflect what folks are saying. Sometimes it's very
True.
harsh. It's like,
No, yeah.
damn. But it's like, man, as long as you are like happy with the product, dude, and what you did, and you believe in it, and you know that you gave your all to it. It's like, man, what everybody else talked about, you
I
know.
totally get you. Yeah, and I mean, even looking at the website, like it feels very thorough, and it has like a, even without seeing the film, like it has like a clear, obvious like identity, and it's
Or you haven't
obvious.
watched it? I'll send you a screener because I can't. I really want to make sure we're entirely done with the festival run before I just put it on my portfolio. That maybe it
Yeah,
doesn't matter at this point. But I'll send you a screener, bro, because
please
I'd
do.
love to. And if you think that is valid, I really don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm like, yo, like Alex Garcia with my short film, bro.
Yeah,
We don't gotta talk about anything else.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
yeah.
But no, I'll definitely watch it. I want to see it. I looked for it in doing my deep dive, as I call it on the show. I couldn't find anything
Well, that's
real.
good.
Yeah, going back to the Price website. Yeah, I do want to see the film. It looks really cool, just based on the imagery that you've used, and the thorough bios of everybody. I'm just like wanting to know. I want to know everybody now. Like, I want to know
Dude,
what April did for the VFX. Like, what?
Shout out to April. She's doing VFX on Dollface as well.
Oh,
That's
wow,
one of
yeah.
the dopest. I know I'm like naming all these people. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's a problem. I
It's
kind of want
fine.
to gatekeep them because they're so lovely and amazing
Yeah.
collaborators, and I don't want anybody else but me to work with them. No,
That's
but
so
man,
funny.
like that entire crew, dude, just really amazing, like filmmakers and creatives in their own right. Like I like really do miss because we were having fun on set. Like you kind of know the vibe on Dollface.
Yeah.
It was like that, but with like 20 more people, and it was just
Oh, wow. Yeah.
like we're efficient, we're getting things done, but it's like nobody hates each other. Like the final day of rap, like we had a dance party. Like I was on DJ. I was playing all the like 2000s hits like Chris Brown, whatever. Everybody was vibing because we rapped, and it was like we were proud of what we did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You
yeah, man.
should be. It looks like a pretty exciting piece. Okay, going back to the website though, I was
Yep.
looking at your bio.
Yes.
You were a lighting technical intern for season 9 of Chicago Fire. Do you want to walk me through
Yeah,
that?
yeah, bro. That's really how I got my start, like my official start, like working in working in the film industry. It was
Mm-hmm.
this is this is during the pandemic, the panini. I had applied, and it's this program called Cinecares that really kind of advocates for bringing in people from underrepresented communities like onto the like into the film space. And so I got my start as a lighting technician apprentice, really like an electrician apprentice on Chicago Fire. Learned so much just about production and how it works. Like that was really my film school before I went to film school. Which I know that people always ask like, is it do you go to film school or do you go to the studio?
I was
The
about to
real right
ask you.
answer the real right answer is ideally like a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
If you can kind of like see what it's like and then you can kind of apply it in a different space. I think that's the best ideal way for your growth as a filmmaker. um, but so yeah, man, I learned how it all works because I didn't just talk to the grips and the gaffers. I got to talk to like the executive producers and the directors, and the actors. As long as you're respectful and you're respectful of everybody's time. Like I
Yeah, of
learned
course.
so much, and I think that was a big reason that I got into film school because I already had that foundation, um, and that way it wasn't like I was kind of like starting from the beginning. It was like I'm already here, and like I can work on like my first year into film school was like I was working on like advanced projects and kind of like I didn't need like the training wheels, like they were already off. So go to film school if you can, but also work on film sets as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, it's always interesting to kind of see people's perspective on film school. A lot of the general consensus that just in talking to people about like, oh, did you go to film school? Did you not go to film school? A lot of the consensus seems to be that like the community is kind of the big portion of it. Like you're already starting out with a
Your
big
network.
network of filmmakers that are already like ready to collaborate with each other. Like that is seems to be the big proponent of it. But I think it's interesting that you bring up like also actively working on a production, especially something like Chicago Fire, where it's like you're kind of literally being thrown into the fire
Mhm.
of just like
Bro, who are
production
you
and just like
telling?
no. I just mean like literally being thrown into the
I'm
fire of
agreeing with you.
like
Yeah.
production and just you know like this is how we're going to learn. I mean, that's exactly like how I started. Like I started as like a second AC. I didn't even know what a slate was. I was just like, this looks cool, I want to do this. And I just started up the ranks. I started as a second AC, did some like lighting G&E, moved up as a first, and then properly started DPing maybe like some time ago. long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, whatever you want to
A
call it.
galaxy far, far away
I don't
is
even
crazy.
remember. It just kind of like it all kind of blurred together because I was taking work of like when I was a first AC, I started taking DP work, and then when I was a second, I was taking like gaffing and G&E work. Like I think
Right.
for me it was important to understand like all facets of production. At least from what I've been taught early on, is like leadership is like at least in terms of leadership, you got to understand what everybody's doing, at least like a base level, because if you're going to come in and you're going to tell all these people what to do,
What to?
how
You
to
better
do
know your
something,
dude,
you
bro.
gotta maybe not even know the technical lingo, because like even like when I talk to directors, they're not like technically savvy, and I'm not expecting it. But if you have like a baseline of like, ooh,
It's
I
so
like a
cool.
I like a 35. It's like, oh, that gives me context of like what you like. You don't have to know more than that. You just have to know whatever can help bridge the gap between that answer of what you're looking for. Like that's great. And for me, it was important to understand like, okay, how would I rig like a moon box or something? Like I don't even like when I first started, I didn't even know how to do that. But now I'm like, okay, cool. I need like this sort of thing. I'll probably put some wall spreaders, some S60s, and then a bigger. We can get into this whole conversation, but all this to say, like, I have a general sense of like, okay, this is what these people do. More importantly, their expectations and how much time takes.
Hmm.
And I think it's good that you had that sort of experience of like, okay, this is what I need to like set myself up to be kind of prepared for, both
Right.
in the criticism side of things, like with you having to pitch for this project to do Price in the first place, and also
Hmm.
just the fact that like you like are seeing what all these different roles are doing. You're like, what the hell is even a honey wagon? Like that sort of thing. Like I learned that the hard way. I remember I was like a PA and like someone said like, "Oh, you need to deliver this to the honey wagon. It's like some coffee or whatever. Like you got to deliver it to the honey wagon." I'm like, "What the
I've
fuck?"
actually never heard honey wagon before. I don't know what that
Honey
is.
wagon is like a trailer. Like it's just like it's like a bunch of porta potties, or like
Okay,
a
got
thing
you.
on wheels where um like sometimes like a 18 wheeler will take it and it'll be like a thing of like just bathrooms. And I was told
Oh,
I got
okay,
to
okay.
deliver coffee to the honey wagon. I'm like thinking it's like a special talent trailer or something. So I'm like
Nah,
looking around the trailers. I'm like, wait, what am I? What's the honey wagon?
porta potties.
And then a gaffer told me like, "Yo, that's the shitter. You got to just deliver it to these guys." Like, God bless. But yeah, so all this to say, like, it is great that you have like some perspective in both. Um, gives you the time to learn this stuff, but also like having
Mhm.
that hands-on experience is really huge. Talking about the pandemic, I don't know if
Panini.
I don't the Panini, the Panera Press. I'm
The
not sure if you did this during this time, but I'm bringing it up at this time just because like I'm assuming that's what I would do during the pandemic. You have some interesting work that you've done with like AI slash virtual production.
Mhm.
These two, I guess we'll call them short films, The
Yeah.
Hallows and I Bet You'll Jump. What is like sort of your perspective on AI, and what's been something that you've learned in trying to make these two projects like with AI?
Bro, people really hate AI.
I
Like,
do.
they
I
really.
do. I do.
It's like, I don't think it's warranted. I think, yo, at the end of the day, it is just a tool, and it should kind of help you kind of get to the product that you wanna do. I agree that it should not like replace anything. It
Mm-hmm.
should really just be used as a supplement. Um, but those two projects, man, I made it at my final year. Uh, at SC, just playing around with Midjourney and like Runway and all the other fun AI things. I don't know if hopefully it's on my website. I think the one I'm most proud of is I made a Liquid Death spec commercial that was
That is on your
yeah,
website. Yeah.
yeah, with like Night of the Living Dead. That I'm so proud of that. I thought it was fantastic. It came out fantastic. The Hollows is a web series that I'm working on, and that was the first episode. I
Mm-hmm.
realized the reason episode 2 is taking so long is because I just need to perfect my workflow, man. For the Hollows, which for the audience, it's just think like Boondocks, but like horror. That's pretty much it. It's like the Boondocks, but with like creepy stuff. Um, it was tough because like every shot that you see was generated in Midjourney, like in AI, and like continuity wasn't the main issue. It's just that like, well, continuity wasn't fantastic. It could have been better. It was serviceable for what it was, but it's just not a sustainable workflow to like type in a prompt to generate like an entire shot like over and over again. And so what I'm trying to do now is take some character designs, like those original character designs. I had an artist actually design them for me, and now it's like, how do I go into like Unreal or Blender, and then kind of turn them into like 2D, um, 2D like characters and animate them that way, and then I could
Mm-hmm.
use like Mid Journey to generate the backgrounds. That's what I'm trying to do. It takes time because there's all these other projects, and I'm one person. I'm one movie studio. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
but yeah, man, I don't think AI deserves the hate that it gets. I think the people using it are like it. The technology is only good as the people who are using it, and like like you still need like direction. You still need like an understanding of what you want. You still have to make decisions, right? It's so easy to make a pretty picture and like post it and whatever. But in terms of like making like a story, like making a film, commercial, whatever, like you still need to like understand like how filmmaking works, and how the AI works to kind of get the product that you want. Like it still takes work and understanding. I just think it's the hate it gets is because it's gonna kind of completely take away from the essence of what like making art and making something creative is. For me it's super helpful because I obviously don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to like spend on projects,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I'm just trying to get it, any way I can, and if that means that instead of like shelling out like a bunch of money that I don't have, um, to like a VFX artist. Though like shout out April, I love her and she's done so. But like if I wanted to create like a huge scene and I didn't have the funds to do that, um, right? Like to be
Yeah.
able to kind of create that myself for free is a game changer, dude. And it kind of levels the playing field, especially if I don't have access to like a large studio or anything like that. So y'all just give AI some grace. I do believe that there are some head ass people out there who are just like abusing it and trying to make it something that it's not, and replace people's jobs. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of it's just a tool, and you either know how to use it or you don't. Like that's pretty much it. Get,
Yeah.
get, get AI some grace, man.
Yeah. I will not.
I
No,
said,
no, no.
oh, that feels
Okay.
like
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. No, 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 no. My perspective has slightly changed. I remember initially when Sora was first being rolled out, I
yeah,
was like, dude.
yeah,
Like I like this is like a crazy technology that exists, and again, like what you're saying, there's definitely like head ass people who are just like using it for the wrong intentions, and I think that's partially my fear. And I think
hmm,
also my fear is also like, at the studio level where people are trying to use it as a way to kind of
like
cheapen
cut out
cheapen
creatives. Yeah,
labor, or like to just like, oh, we'll just put up an AI film or whatever. But I will say I've had some changed perspective. I'm not entirely on the hate train, but I'm
yeah,
not entirely off it either. I have a friend of mine who's been on the podcast. His name's Andrew Ortiz. He's an editor and a colorist.
right, right.
He works on clips for the podcast, and just in general, just kind of learning coloring stuff from him. Again, just wanting to have a general understanding of what he does. He's kind of taught me some stuff about like basic editing. Like there's a tool in DaVinci Resolve that allows you to kind of auto generate subtitles,
Yeah,
which I use for this podcast. Obviously, I go back and make sure all the spelling is correct and stuff. But um, in that sort of context where it's like a utility, rather than it trying to have its own intentions and benefits for itself, I think is really where I see a net positive as far as
hmm,
AI. And some interesting stuff like that where he's going to show me like a lot of automation and a lot of like little back end kind of organizational things. Like I think
yeah,
is really interesting that it could really impact a lot of stuff that we're doing now. And also, another person that's really changed my perspective is a director friend of mine. His name's Atlas Akopian.
Okay.
He's a director. He's like a kind of a, I call him a multi hyphenate artist because he does like a lot of different.
Cool.
But he's kind of done some interesting, I guess we'll call them case studies with
Yeah.
Sora. Like he made this sort of thing right here where it's just like
That's
a bunch of
cool.
people flying through like a hallway in an office. Um,
That's dope.
and he was kind of showing me like different versions of this before he made this public. And I was like, this is a super interesting like experimentation and just like allowing it to
Wait, can
kind
you
of.
text that to me? Because that looks really cool.
Yeah, I got you. I'll text that
Yeah.
to you, or I'll send it on Instagram.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting, like the way that he sort of applied it and his sort of perspective on the whole thing, and not like not wanting it to take over, but it's just interesting to make weird abstract images
It's fun, man.
digitally versus like trying to paint something out and trying to do like mixed media stuff, which is not bad. I actually really like mixed media, but I think for the stuff that he's sort of into, he's a very tech savvy person. So for him, it makes a lot of sense. And he's
Hmm.
shown me a couple things like that. Like there's another one on his page where like there's a bowling ball going through like a office with a bunch of cubicles and stuff.
That's
But
cool.
it looks like a big 8 ball. And I like that. And the walls like warp and. But in that sort of thing where it's like you literally couldn't make that, like, okay, that's cool. Like a cool visual for something. But as far as like, I'm on the same boat. Like, as far as like a complete replacement of like AI completely replacing production, I don't think people want that.
Nobody wants that. No, like literally nobody wants that.
That's
Well,
like,
I would
yeah.
some people who want that.
There are
100%.
some people who want that,
There
but
are some
it's
people who
like
want that.
microwaving a pizza versus going to a pizzeria. It's like I'd rather just go to the shop and get the dough like fresh and like in my hands and all the flaky. But you know what I mean? Like there's so much
Yeah.
nuance to like something actually being made versus like, like a synth. I'll call it like a synthesized thing. Um,
Mhm.
that being said, I did watch like the Hallows and, that what is it? That Liquid Death
Yeah.
piece that you made, and I thought the Liquid Death in particular I thought was really cool.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Again, it's opened my mind a little bit to like, oh, this could be like something interesting. It's an interesting use case for AI. And it's an interesting argument to be made about like, hey, this is something that could be add to the Rolodex of tools that we have access to versus it being like, oh, we're literally going to imitate something, which is like
Right.
I'd rather not do that.
Agreed.
I'd rather make the things and make the art with people that I like and that I enjoy. That sort of thing.
And like even with all of those projects, I still had to go into After Effects and do like some VFX stuff myself. So it like again is like they should go hand in hand, and it should be a tool rather than something to completely replace. But I'm here for it, man. I feel bad because like sometimes I'll be in a room like full of creatives, and I'm like, yeah, like AI is cool, and they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And so yeah, man,
I think the
it's
conversation is complicated right now. I think
yeah.
it has some malicious intent from what it seems like with people.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm also just like not completely on board just yet. Like I think
No,
I need to
that's
be,
super valid.
I got to be convinced. I'm not completely knocking it yet, but I got to be convinced in order for
Mm.
this to be like a super valid and like a controlled thing. Because like, is there a situation where like studios are just like, oh, we'll just use AI, which was a thing when the writer strike was happening. You know what I mean? Like
It,
that's, is there's going to be some moderation against that? Like those are concerns that I have. You know what I mean?
even for scripts, bro. Like if you like ask ChatGPT to give you a script, like it will give you a script. Now, is it good? Actually, it'll probably be a bit better. Um, but that's not like that takes the fun out of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
for the stuff that I'm working on, if I'm hitting a roadblock, like I'll upload the script and be um, like this ending of the second act isn't working. Like what is wrong with it? And then ChatGPT will give me a list of things that like And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like this 100% isn't working. How do I fix it? And then they'll give me suggestions. Every time that I've done this, I ultimately come up with a suggestion of my own, but it like kind of jump starts like your brain into thinking about different things. Like that's how it should be used. It shouldn't you shouldn't like ask ChatGPT to like write a script for you. If anything, it should be used to like make your script better, and you still have to put in the work. You still have to write it, but in terms of like options and like how to make it better, it's like there you go.
Yeah,
As
it's
long as you're doing
yeah, yeah. You gotta use it wisely instead of it completely taking over. Speaking of, again, I'm assuming that you did this AI stuff like during the pandemic when there was nobody kind of around. On that same vein of thought, there was a lot of people who kind of was in the thick of it, sort of mentally and physically. I'm
the thick of
wondering.
it,
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but but I'm wondering. Welcome to the
bro.
LG show. But I'm wondering,
Good.
how you kind of navigated that conversation. We talked about burnout. We talked about, kind of the pandemic. That was rough for everybody, right? You're not actively creating. You're not in a place of sound mind to create something. That happens to the best of us, right? I'm wondering how you sort of navigate that mental health side of the dialogue between like whether it's like a work-life balance thing that you have sorted, whether it's just active daily practices. What's something that you do as kind of a mental health check-in for yourself? How do you navigate that conversation as a filmmaker and as a director? How do you navigate that?
Well, first though, I did those things actually last year before I graduated from SC. But even then, bro, like thinking about how far AI has been, like even when I
Mm-hmm.
was doing that stuff, which was like literally last year, like last February, March, like the AI was better, but still wasn't there. And so it's crazy to think how like far the technology has come in a year. But to your initial question, bro, I crash out like 2 to 3 times a day, like just in my like apartment, like screaming my head off, like you know.
Yeah,
Uh, it's rough, man. I think like talking to other creatives is very helpful because it's like this all isn't just happening to you. Like it's everybody is dealing with it in some form or fashion. Um, and that's comforting. But you know how misery loves comfort. Misery loves company. So I don't try and lean into that too much. But it is good to like talk to people and they're like, bro, like yeah, this isn't just like it. Sometimes like you go through life and it seems like just everything is happening to you and only you. Um, and then you just kind of don't feel as alone. I think watching watching stuff that makes you feel inspired too, man, and reminds you like why you're doing this. Like literally, this is not. It's a crazy way of life. Don't you think about it? Like we're
yeah,
we're like making stories for a living, and like it's insane. It is not a traditional way of life.
not at all.
And then I think you also just gotta. I struggle with this every day, man. You gotta give yourself grace. You gotta kind of pat yourself on the back for the things that you have accomplished, and then you cannot compare yourself to others, man. Comparison is the thief of joy. Oh my god!
Yeah,
Like go on Instagram and you see people who are like super talented and doing super dope stuff, and it's like, yo, why am I not doing that? You can't have those thoughts, bro. Everybody's path is different. Um, and like maybe you haven't figured out yours. But yeah, don't compare yourself to people. And sometimes you just gotta say fuck it and like literally you have to say fuck it. Don't give up on the project, but set it aside. Take some time away from it and come back to it with a fresh perspective. Um, that's how I try to stay sane, but I still be crashing out, bro. I'm not even gonna hold you.
that's valid. I
ready,
mean, I'm
ready
I'm
to.
I'm I'm honestly kind of the same way. I definitely get in my head and talking about comparison. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
help like seeing like the most insanely talented people just doing the
Like
craziest
you,
projects. No, you know, like
dude.
you, but at the
But
same time, it's like I'm so
applause.
happy for you.
Yeah,
Like I'm
yeah,
so happy that you have this opportunity to kind of create this really cool stuff. But
yeah.
you right now
But
because I'm in a
yeah, but
mode
fucking
of like comparison, and it just
yeah.
like it just my mental like entirely. But yeah, no, that's a good point to bring up. That like yeah, taking a break from like just stepping back of like yeah, let me just sometimes it is the phone. You know, like your mom was right, it is the phone, you know. So just taking a moment to
Log out
like
of Instagram, bro. Log out
yeah,
of Twitter, TikTok. Like it will kill you.
yeah, the
Because
only social media I have is Instagram for that reason. Like I don't have a TikTok because I know I'd be stuck on that. Twitter I deleted like maybe a year ago, and then like yeah, just the only one I have is like Instagram and like LinkedIn if you want to count LinkedIn. Um, I,
people do treat LinkedIn like Facebook. Like some people are too like
yeah,
comfortable on LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't think this should have been posted
it's
here.
interesting. I don't know. I'm not on it too often, but like I'm on it sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is an interesting like. It's more news than anything, is what it seems like. But
Yeah.
yeah, the like all this to say, like yeah, I agree that like you looking at things constantly like doesn't it doesn't help. You know what I mean?
You gotta create more than you consume too, bro.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
big thing.
That's a good point on it for sure.
You do have to watch to kind of like get inspiration, and if you're trying to like figure out how to do something and it's already been done, like you have to watch that to see like how to do it and like how to improve upon it or make it unique to you. But you just can't sit there on hours like watching stuff because then you're gonna not like yourself and not
Yeah,
like what
not
you're.
at all. That's a very PG way to put it, but yeah, it's not. You're not gonna like yourself very much. But no, man, that's like I always try to touch on it in every episode, just because like
Yeah.
it's important. We're all dealing with this in some capacity, and like you said, it's nice to know that like nobody is dealing with this by themselves, and you know, it's sort of a difficult conversation, especially not knowing you know where things are headed as far as like work and you know like the AI conversation again too, like how that's going to implement in people's workflows and that sort of thing. All this tax credits and stuff, and who knows, right? Um, Speaking of that sort of future, I know you touched on the feature kind of at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
What is coming up for you? What do you have kind of in the works? Whether you choose to disclose that or not, what do you have coming up?
I'm crying. So we talked about the feature, which I'm really excited about that, bro. It's like it's going to get made and is gonna happen because it's too fire not to.
Yeah,
Um, Dollface, which we spoke about. Um, the Hollows episode too, which again like the whole workflow and just how we do that needs to be completely revamped. But so like working in Unreal and trying to make that happen. Things are slow. Also, writing a pilot that's very much like the Hacks meets Atlanta. Have you watched Hacks before, bro?
I started it, but I have yet to finish it.
I like I really like that show. I never saw myself being so invested in the lives of white women like I am. But it's like, bro, I'm like, dude, it's so good. I'm
Yeah,
just like so like that energy, but also kind of the dark comedy, surrealist vibe of Atlanta. That's the pilot that I'm working on, man, and I've been working on it for a year now, and I finally kind of feel like I'm getting it to a point where like it's dope, and I can have like some real kind of professional creatives who can make some things happen. Take a look at it. Um, there's a group of friends that also went to SC, and we get together every year and and work on our like we form a writers group and we work on a feature together. And so I'm dialing between the ideas that I want to use for that because it starts in May. And yeah, so that feature is coming up too, man. I think just always trying to work on myself. As a creative too. I think it was Steven Spielberg. A friend told me this, so I'm not sure, but he was like I'm my worst self when I'm not like being creative or working on anything.
same.
So it's like as long as I'm writing something, man, as long as I'm prepping for something, dude, um, that's Like that's where it's at. I kind of got off your question of what I'm working on, but those are the main two things, man. Um, and then I do have that thing I want to pitch you on, because that's a relatively quick shoot. But yeah, man, that's it. Like some music videos, some pilots, some features, trying to make it happen. You know. One last thing that I'd like to share because I always try and remind myself of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're wherever you're trying to go, like bro, if you're trying to be the best DP, I'm trying to be the best like writer, director. It's not when, it is where. Do you feel that? The question is not when, it is where. Like it's not like when, like if it's gonna happen. Just where is it? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to like give me the time, just give me the address because I'm gonna be there regardless. Do you feel that? Does that make sense?
I do. Yeah, it makes
Can you
sense.
clip that? Like, is that did I cook right there? Did I cook right there?
You
Did
did.
I,
Yeah, it's
bro?
being in the right place at the right time. Yeah, 100%.
No, but not even that. It's that the shit is going to happen regardless. Like, it's going to happen, bro. You, me, we are going to be one of the goats, dude. We are. We just gotta.
It's just
It's
keeping at
it's
it.
Yes, dude, and
Yeah.
just get to that address. The time really does not matter. It's going to happen regardless. Like it's already written. You feel me?
All right, that concludes today's episode of the ALG show. It's a pretty healthy episode with a good range of topics, I think. I've known Byron for not even a year, and it's always been a dialogue that's been very, like, I guess igniting would be the best way to put it. Um, I leave the conversations with him feeling like I can run a marathon with like zero training, if that makes any sense. I honestly feel that way about like every guest that I've brought on. But with him, having worked together on a short film, and just our previous interactions through mutual friends, such as a previous podcast guest, Justin Fairweather, um, he's been really someone to put a battery in my back as of late. And that's been really like refreshing to see in my life, and hearing his kind of different takes on certain filmmaking experiences. Obviously, being a DP, there's a lot that I don't see. For example, like the festival circuit and like sort of the nooks and crannies of like what happens after a film is done, and that sort of thing. I'm just kind of like, I work here. I'll occasionally get an invite to a festival. That'll be kind of the extent of my experience, but yeah, he's been a really cool and inspiring person that I've gotten to know. Um, I think we met around like August time last year. So it's been really cool to see like what he's done, and through different conversations that we've had together, it's been really cool to see kind of what he's doing and what is like intriguing to him as a director and how he applies that to kind of his existing projects. It's been really interesting. But yeah, go follow him on Instagram. Go check out his work on his website. He's got some really interesting quality stuff. And yeah, that concludes today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, hope everybody's healthy. Um, you know, doing well personally and career wise. And if you're not, that's okay. Sometimes we go through different hurdles. We have to take a step back, reassess, and come back stronger. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.